In America, everyone counts, and the 2020 census is how that great promise is kept. Respond today online, by phone, or by mail, and help inform hundreds of billions in funding for education, health programs, and more. Shape your future. Start at 2020census.gov. As you heard the mayor say there, they are still waiting for the district attorney as well as the Kentucky Attorney General to render their decision whether they're going to seek charges against these cops. Let's go to Tamika Mallory, who's there in Louisville right now. Tamika, always good to see you. You've been trying to explain to people that a wrongful death settlement is separate from the criminal side.
Absolutely. And especially in this situation, because in a lot of cases where we do see, and I understand that people are looking at history and how sometimes in the city you have non-indictments from the city's attorney, who are the district attorney or the Commonwealth attorney, and then you will have a settlement where the family is paid. But in this situation, it's even more separate than that because the state's attorney general has the case, Daniel Cameron, and the city is paying its settlement. So it's two totally different things. And a lot of times, you know, for one, we deal with so much trauma. It's hard sometimes to keep up with how corrupt the systems are. But also some people are just unfortunately uneducated about the process. And we have a responsibility, as you're doing right now, Roland, to make sure that we educate our community and let them know that there is a very big difference between the two. And the family has every right to collect a wrongful death settlement and have their civil case settled.
Well, it's also, it amazes me when I hear people say, why is Ben Crump on another case? He's lost all the others. Ben Crump Crump cannot prosecute police officers.
I mean, that's one of the things that, you know how I am about all my brothers and sisters. I fight for any one of y'all that if you right, you right, and I'm gonna fight. And one of the biggest fights that I get into on social media about my brother Ben Crump is this idea that he loses all his cases, but yet he never gets an opportunity. He doesn't go into the courtroom to try police officers. The only thing that Ben Crump can do, the only control that he has, is to settle or fight a civil case to get a family paid from a civil rights perspective. He does not try police officers in a criminal case. Those are district attorneys, or as we see in the attorney general's case. And people are so gravely uneducated about that, and it actually kills me. He cannot prosecute cops.
This also is a different type of settlement because police reforms are attached to it. Normally, look at a lot of other cases out there, you don't have an announcement like that of police reforms. So this was a very different type of negotiation.
Absolutely. So I haven't seen, and I'm not saying it hasn't been done, but I have not seen in my 25 years of being an activist, an organizer, a situation where the settlement is contingent upon, like, literally the families. The last few days, they were haggling over a few different things, and one of them was negotiations around the actual reforms that the city would accept. And of course, we know that, you know, the reforms that they're choosing to do, or the reforms that are actually in this settlement, they're not going to change the entire system. But there's some real important stuff. There's the issue around police officers with alcohol and drug testing. I mean, what we know for sure is that the police officer, Hankinson, who was fired, when he left after shooting the most, we believe, based upon preliminary ballistic reports, that he was the one to do the most shooting into the house. And then after the shooting happened and the incident was over, he left the scene and was gone for over an hour, almost 2 hours, but he couldn't be found. So many are alleging or feel that he was possibly intoxicated. Even looking at one of the photos of another officer, you could see something that looked like a person who may have been intoxicated. And there are people from the community who say that they were at a local bar right before the shooting actually occurred, before they executed the no-knock warrant. So they're going to be dealing with alcohol and drug abuse. Sorry.
Sorry.
We're going to be dealing with alcohol and drug abuse. What's the other one, Angelo? Sorry. The one that's the most important is the no, that one. I'm Ben Crumps is actually trying to reach me. There was one that was the most important. Anyway, there's a few.
Body cam.
The body cam piece. They're going to be dealing with body cams. And a bunch of reforms, and we actually need to pull them up so we can actually tell them what is the most the main one.
When you get money that they have to
right. So within seizures, which in this particular situation it actually doesn't apply. That whenever an officer is on the ground, his body cam has to be on during the time while he's dealing with any money, and that they have to have another officer that is there because there is allegation that they actually have been stealing money from people. And it's not in this particular situation, but there are other pieces of reform that they asked for. Can I see that? Because there's the one that's the most important that we need to early action. Right. So there's also okay. I know the most important one is that there's going to be a new system set up to deal with the amount of warrants that can be executed in one night or in one day around one case, because in this situation, the judge signed off on a number of warrants at the same time where they were executing warrants all across the city. And that is going to change, as well as how a judge signs off on a warrant. In this situation, we know that Detective Joshua James, he filled out an application, he filed the application, and the application actually had lies in it because he stated that the post office reported Breonna Taylor receiving suspicious packages to her home. And we now know for sure, because the Postal Service came out and said they never ever reported suspicious packages, and they had no suspicion of the packages that were being mailed to her home. And so what we found out is that Joshua James, pretty much, he filled out this application and took it to the judge, and the judge signed off on it. There's going to be a process put in place where a high-level commanding officer is also going to have to sign off on these warrants to make sure that it has been checked, that the evidence is within a fresh time period, because even the package that Jamarcus, the guy who all of this sort of centers around, whether or not, or Jamarcus's alleged drug dealing, he did receive some package, or they think they saw him walk out of her house with a package at one point, and all of that information. Oh, sorry. Got a lot of things going on here.
That's all right.
So with Jamarcus, with the package that they did see him with, that happened months before. So the warrant wasn't even executed at the time that he was seen with the package. You can't do that. You can't have a no-knock warrant and execute it at someone's home weeks and months after a package was seen. And in fact, if you listen to the tape recordings of conversations between Jamarcus and Breonna, she is telling him, when you come around, it makes me feel nervous. Police are involved. There's a lot going on. I'm not comfortable. You need to basically get your life together. So she's telling him that, and then she blocks him from her phone, and she will not speak to him anymore. So it's very clear that even if you want to say you are 100% sure in your mind that Breonna had a boyfriend or a friend that she was seeing or whatever at one point who was a drug dealer, what we know is that on that particular night, she wasn't in communication with him. He had not been in her home in days, and he had not received any packages to her home. So is she a candidate for execution as a result of something that may have happened that the post office is saying that they don't even agree with? I mean, there are so many details about this case that people have to understand, that does not justify her murder. And the settlement today, one, is the largest settlement that Louisville, Kentucky has ever paid out to any police victim of abuse of police. No, excuse me, victim of police abuse. And it is also, per attorney Ben Crump, probably the largest paid settlement across the entire country of anyone who was killed by police in a wrongful death suit. So, I mean, no, it is not what we want to see. Daniel Cameron has the ability, and he actually is presenting to the grand jury at this time. He has the ability to bring charges against these officers, and that's what we want to see happen. And we're actually going to be protesting again this week outside of his office to make sure that that is what he's seeking as an indictment from the grand jury.
Well, the reality is you and Until Freedom, y'all have been doing the work on the ground there. A number of you are there. Y'all have been there. Folks have been getting arrested, bailing them out of jail. That's y'all haven't been sitting on Twitter and Facebook and just posting stuff. You're there actually on the ground, but also pulling the various factions together, helping people also partner as well. Because, I mean, look, you've been in this for a long time. What happens when major cases happen, they get international attention, then there's all kind of different people who are with different agendas, as opposed to having a collective agenda and seeking justice for Breonna Taylor.
That's right. A collective. I mean, this week, and thankfully, you helped us to boost the amount of participation and viewers. We actually had a 26-hour prayer service, fasting. Actually, Reverend William Barber of the Poor People's Campaign was one of the people, along with Mary Pat and 100 people from Atlanta and New York City, to kick off a fast where from sunup to sundown they are fasting for Breonna Taylor. We had people to pray for 26 hours straight. Bishop T.D. Jakes was one of those who was a part of the prayer. Bernice King, Dr. King's daughter, was one of those who prayed with us. Reverend Elaine Flake of Allen AME in Queens, Jamal Bryant, Stephen Green was one of the leaders, Reverend Stephen Green, and so many others. Until Freedom folks, we led prayer for 26 hours. So if you're not a protester, you can pray. If you are a protester, hit the streets and organize. Let's keep the pressure on. There's a way for every single person to be involved. We ask people, if you're watching right now, do two things. Go and give Roland Martin some change, because we need to make sure that when we start a prayer service, and we only had at the time about 100 people watching, and it was when we shared the service through Roland Martin's network that he is building, that we were able to get up to hundreds, more than 500 people who were with us. In the middle of the night, we still had 300 people watching the prayer service, and throughout the day, thousands. We believe that somewhere around 2 million people tuned in and out of the service, and that was because of people like Roland and Sean King and others keeping a platform going. So we ask that you support Roland, support him, because without Black media, we can't get our message out. CNN wasn't going to do it. MSNBC wasn't going to do it. It was through Roland Martin Unfiltered that we got the numbers to get people into the prayer service. And then the last thing I ask is that you support groups like Until Freedom. Mm-hmm. You can go to Until Freedom on our Cash App. Give us $5, $10. It all matters, because we are literally living in Kentucky, paying rent on a home, several homes for all of our people who are living with us, and all the other things, eating and everything we need to be able to stay in the streets. And we also, Roland, and I'll be quiet after this, but we also have been supporting other grassroots organizations, because listen, we've been the grassroots group in New York that didn't have the resources to keep our work going, and it was because of the support of you, Roland, and others that helped us to be able to get resources to keep going. And so we have, while we're here, when someone gives us $5, we've been giving and reallocating those resources to local groups to keep them doing what they're doing. So support us, ladies and gentlemen, and also let's not be small-minded in terms of what has happened here today. The settlement is significant. The $12 million is again something that is unprecedented in terms of financial settlements, but also there has been policy reform that was included in the settlement package. There's going to be a number of things done, and then we are still fighting for justice for Daniel Cameron to indict the 4 officers responsible for Breonna Taylor's murder.
Well, Tamika, you're doing great work. Tell your Instagram followers, my bad, you were live on Instagram. I saw you and I was like, hey, call her, get on the air.
I got off.
Right. You saw the message. You're like, I think Roland telling me I need to get off and do his show. So we appreciate it. Y'all doing a great job. And y'all, if you can just go to their Facebook. Hey, Linda, how you doing? Glad to see you. And
hello. Say hi to Roland.
Hey, my son, what's going on? Y'all stay safe. And again, great job. The Cash App is $until freedom, folks. If y'all want to give. Tamika, stay safe. Get some rest.
Thank you. We love you, Roland.
Love you as well, darling. Take care. All right, folks, let's go to our panel real quick here. Start with you, Teresa. What you heard Tamika lay out, and so many people don't quite understand the nuances of this. Again, being involved in negotiation in the wrongful death settlement, achieving these gains, but then also still pursuing on the criminal side. All of these things matter, and I think our folks, you got to walk folks through to understand how the system works.
And that's just what it's all about. It's educating the public. Tamika hit it right on the nose when she said there was a difference between a civil action and a criminal action suit. Because the civil action, yes, it's eye-popping, it's unprecedented, it's $12 million, but it is the first step. And everything, from the last couple of months since the pandemic, people have been screaming about true police reforms. And I love when Tamika said at the end of the last bid of getting that settlement amount of $12 million from the city, they then made sure that the policies of criminal justice reform are actually implemented. So again, that is the body cam, that is the search and seizure checks, that is the amount of warrants a judge can execute and how a judge signs off on a warrant, which is truly a game changer. Here in Pennsylvania and other larger states, people are saying those same exact reforms. But it's really about, Roland, when you talk about including it in the deal before we leave from the table is how you actually get this stuff started. So it's phenomenal.
Teresa, hold tight 1 second. Back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Seek.com is a black-owned company founded by Mary Spio. They have these amazing products. They have their virtual reality headset right here. Allows for you to take your cell phone, pop it right into here. You can watch their virtual reality content on their site, Seek.com. You can also, of course, watch other 360-degree video, and it puts you right there in the same space. So that's this particular headset. They also have their 360-degree 4D headphones, folks, which are great for you to be able to do gaming. You can also, of course, use it for music, for videos as well. It's a really solid solid deal here. I love these headphones. Again, when I'm able to, when I'm walking and working out and doing things along those lines. And so you want to check this out. Again, these headphones right here, which are pretty cool. Go to Seek.com, Seek.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020, RMVIP2020. And then you'll get a discount on one or both of these products. And so we certainly appreciate Seek.com being a partner with Roland Martin Unfiltered.